All right, so today we are going deep on something that I think has a really, really fun vibe to it.
Okay.
Like a real life treasure hunt,
Oh.
liquidation blowouts. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
these massive sales where retailers or wholesalers are just trying to offload all this extra inventory at just like crazy discounts.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's become like this huge part of the retail ecosystem,
Right.
especially like now that like everyone shops online and there's so many returns.
Right.
We're talking about like pallets of stuff,
Mm.
everything from electronics and clothes
Wow.
to home decor,
Yeah.
and it's all for like way less than what you would pay if you just bought it like normally.
Yeah, and our sources this time around, it's all about the bin store, which is like supposed to be the place to find these deals.
Mm.
So before we get into any specific strategies, let's just break down like what exactly are we even talking about here?
Okay.
What is a liquidation pallet?
So imagine like a giant bundle of like a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a mystery box, but it's on a pallet. These pallets are often filled with a mix of overstock returns,
Uh-huh.
or even just like products that have been sitting on shelves for too long.
Okay.
Basically, it's just anything that these retailers just want to get rid of quickly.
So it's not just about like getting a cool gadget for cheap.
No, no, no.
This is a whole system.
Yeah, yeah.
And our source is really like pushing the bin store as
Mhm.
the way to get your hands on these pallets.
Interesting.
They talk about sourcing directly from like the big names like Walmart and Amazon.
Wow.
So you're not dealing with some like shady middleman.
Right. And so by cutting out that middleman, they can offer even better prices.
Yeah.
They also say that they have pallets to fit every budget.
Hmm.
So you don't have to like spend a ton of money to get started.
Right.
And for those who aren't local,
Yeah.
or if you just prefer to like browse online first,
Right.
it seems that the bin store also has an online presence too.
Yeah. They actually gave us like specific locations for the bin store. One in West Columbia, South Carolina, and another one in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
We will have all the details in the show notes for this deep dive. So like addresses, phone numbers, website, and social media links so you can check it out.
Awesome.
But beyond the bin store itself, like let's talk about why are these blowouts even happening in the first place?
Yeah.
Like are companies losing money on this?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive,
Right.
but it actually makes more financial sense for companies to clear out this merchandise, even if they are taking a bit of a loss.
Okay.
Like, think about it. Warehouse space is valuable,
Oh, yeah.
and they need that space for new in-demand products.
Right.
Holding on to unsold inventory just ties up their capital and takes up valuable real estate.
So it's better to take a small hit now than to be stuck with a warehouse full of like last season's stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And for shoppers, that translates into some serious savings.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But I imagine there's got to be like some strategy to finding the best deals.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Our source gave a couple interesting tips.
Okay.
For example, they recommend looking for mixed or customer returns pallets.
Oh.
You never know exactly what you're going to get, but those often have the deepest discounts
Okay.
because they're more of a gamble.
Right.
You could find some hidden gems that are in perfect condition, or you could get a pallet of stuff that needs a little bit of TLC.
That's where that whole treasure hunt vibe comes in.
Exactly. Yeah, you're digging through these bins hoping to strike gold.
Love that.
Yeah. And another point our source emphasizes is that buying in bulk
Yeah.
is usually the key to getting the best price per item.
Okay.
So if you're serious about this, consider teaming up with some friends or family.
Yeah.
Split a pallet and really maximize those savings.
Like a Costco run, but on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about what liquidation pallets are and why companies sell them.
Right.
Let's get to the fun part. What is it actually like? Yeah.
To shop at a place like the bin store.
Our source describes it as an experience unlike any other.
Okay.
Imagine a constantly changing department store where everything's up for grabs.
Oh, wow.
New pallets are arriving all the time, so there's always something new to discover.
Oh, that's cool.
One day you might find yourself sifting through bins of electronics.
Yeah.
The next day it could be clothes or home goods.
Okay.
A very dynamic environment.
It sounds a little chaotic, but kind of thrilling.
Yeah, that's the appeal for a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
not your typical shopping trip, you know?
Right.
There's a sense of adventure and surprise that you just don't get at a traditional store.
Yeah.
And that unpredictability is what makes it so exciting.
So for someone who's never done this before,
Yeah.
what should they expect when they walk into a bin store for the first time?
Okay.
Like, what's the layout?
So the specific layout will vary depending on the store.
Okay.
But our source describes it as like a warehouse-style environment.
Usually with rows and rows of pallets.
Okay.
Think of it as like a giant self-serve treasure chest.
I like that.
You might have designated areas for different types of merchandise,
Okay.
but often it's a bit of a free-for-all, which adds to the excitement.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And this ties into another tip that they mention,
Okay.
timing.
Uh-huh.
They say that the best blowouts often happen at the end of a season, like right after Christmas
Oh, yeah.
or when summer's winding down.
Makes sense.
Right.
Retailers are trying to clear out space for the next season's goods.
Right.
And they're willing to offer the steepest discounts to just get rid of that inventory quickly.
Yeah.
So if you can time your shopping trips strategically, you're more likely to find those rock-bottom deals.
It's like the retail equivalent of surfing.
Yeah.
You got to catch the wave at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's be real. There's got to be some downsides to this whole liquidation pallet thing, right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And our source does acknowledge some potential pitfalls that are important to be aware of
Okay.
before you, dive in head first.
Yeah, let's hear 'em.
Okay, so, hidden fees
Yeah.
can sometimes, eat into your profits.
Uh-huh.
So it's crucial to factor those into your calculations.
Okay.
Always check for things like shipping costs or handling fees
Right.
before you commit to a purchase.
Yeah, you don't want to end up paying more than you bargained for.
Exactly. And I imagine those customer returns pallets
Yeah.
can be a bit of a mixed bag.
Right.
You might end up with items that are damaged, defective, or missing parts.
Yeah.
And while you can sometimes get those items repaired or resell them for parts,
Right.
it's essential to factor that possibility into your budget
Okay.
and your expectations.
So you're not always guaranteed a treasure chest full of perfectly good merchandise.
Huh.
There's definitely an element of risk involved.
Exactly. It's important to go into this with realistic expectations.
Okay.
And perhaps the most crucial thing is to do your research and understand your market.
Okay.
Before you even set foot in a bin store, know what types of products sell well,
Okay.
what brands are in demand,
Right.
and what kind of profit margins you can realistically expect.
So it's not just about grabbing a bunch of random stuff and hoping for the best.
No,
There's a real strategy involved.
absolutely. You need to be smart about your purchases.
Okay.
Don't just buy a pallet because it seems like a good deal.
Right.
Buy it because you have a plan for how you're going to resell those items and make a profit.
Okay, so before we jump into the reselling side of things,
Yeah.
let's just take a step back and talk about the specific types of merchandise
Okay.
you might find in these liquidation pallets.
It's truly fascinating how diverse these pallets can be.
Okay.
Our source mentions popular categories like electronics, clothing, home decor,
Mm-hmm.
tools, and equipment.
Wow.
It really runs the gamut of what you might find in a typical retail store, just in bulk and often at a much lower price.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal. It's like stepping into a world of retail possibilities, all condensed into these giant pallets.
That's what makes it so intriguing.
Yeah.
You might walk into a bin store looking for one specific item
Yeah.
and walk out with something completely different that catches your eye.
Right.
A very dynamic and unpredictable shopping experience.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with the thrill of the hunt,
Yeah.
I think it's important to take a step back
Okay.
and regroup here.
All right.
We've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
like the what, the why,
Uh-huh.
and the how of liquidation blowouts.
For sure.
We've also touched on some potential pitfalls to watch out for.
Yeah, exactly. We've laid a solid foundation.
Okay.
And now we're ready to delve deeper into the exciting world of reselling and explore how you can turn those liquidation finds into profit.
So if you're ready to unlock the secrets of turning those pallets into profit, stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive into the wild world of liquidation blowouts. All right. So welcome back to the deep dive.
Okay.
Now let's get down to business.
All right, we've talked about the thrill of the hunt.
Uh-huh.
But for a lot of people, the real goal of diving into these liquidation pallets
Right.
is to turn a profit.
Yeah.
How does someone actually go about doing that?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's one thing to score amazing deals for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's a whole other game to actually turn those finds into a successful reselling business.
Right.
And our source really emphasizes that the key is to treat this like any other business venture,
Okay.
with research planning and a solid understanding of your target market.
So before we even think about setting foot in a bin store,
Right.
we need to have a game plan.
Precisely. It's about being strategic, not impulsive.
All right.
Our source recommends starting by identifying a niche.
Okay.
What types of products are you passionate about? What do you know a lot about?
Okay.
Focusing on a specific category allows you to become an expert.
Okay.
understand those pricing trends, and better identify those really valuable items within a pallet. So instead of just grabbing like a random pallet of like mixed goods,
Right.
maybe I specialize in like vintage toys or home decor,
Exactly.
depending on my interests and knowledge.
Yeah, that specialization can really be your edge.
Okay.
It not only helps you spot those real gems within a pallet,
Yeah.
but it also allows you to market your products more effectively to a specific audience.
Okay, so let's say I found my niche. I've done my research.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hit the bin store.
Okay.
What are some practical tips for actually like sifting through these pallets and finding the good stuff?
Yeah, so the source actually gives some really good advice here.
Okay.
First, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, literally.
Okay.
You're going to have to dig through boxes, move things around, and inspect items closely.
Yeah.
It's not like browsing at a department store, you know.
So comfort and practicality over fashion when it comes to like bin store attire.
Definitely wear clothes you can move around in.
Okay.
Shoes. You don't mind getting a little dusty? And bring a flashlight. You never know what you might find lurking in the back of a bin.
It's like we're gearing up for an archaeological dig.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like an archaeologist, you need the right tools.
Okay, what kind of tools?
Our source recommends bringing a box cutter to open boxes safely,
Oh, yeah.
gloves to protect your hands,
Okay.
and a large tote bag to carry your finds.
Okay, so I'm dressed for success,
Yeah.
got my tools ready. What am I actually looking for within these pallets?
Right.
How do I know if something's a good deal or just a dud?
This is where that research and knowledge of your niche really comes into play.
Right.
You need to be able to quickly assess the condition of an item, estimate its potential resale value,
Okay.
and factor in any necessary repairs or cleaning.
So I need to have a good understanding of current market prices,
Yes.
and I also need to be able to spot any potential damage or defects.
Exactly. It's a combination of market savvy and a keen eye for detail.
Oh.
And don't be afraid to walk away from a pallet if it doesn't feel right. There's always another shipment coming in.
Right.
You don't want to overspend on inventory that's not going to sell.
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't get caught up in the frenzy.
Right.
Better to be patient and find the right pallet for your niche and your budget.
Precisely. And here's another pro tip from the source.
Okay.
Don't underestimate the power of networking.
Okay.
Talk to the employees, get to know the regulars,
Yeah.
and see if you can glean any insider information about upcoming shipments or special deals.
Oh.
Building relationships can give you a real advantage.
So it's not just about the merchandise, it's about the people too.
Yes.
Making connections can lead to valuable insights and opportunities.
Absolutely.
But let's say I've scored an amazing pallet.
Oh.
I've brought it home.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step?
Right.
How do I actually turn these finds into cash?
This is where the real work begins.
Oh boy.
So the source breaks down the reselling process into a few key steps. First, you need to sort and organize your inventory.
Okay.
This involves inspecting each item carefully,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning or repairing anything that needs attention,
Okay.
and categorizing everything for easy listing.
So it's like setting up my own little pop-up shop,
Yeah.
except it's all happening in my spare room or garage.
Exactly. And just like a traditional store presentation is key,
Right.
you want to showcase your items in a way that's appealing to buyers.
Okay.
This might involve taking high-quality photos, writing detailed descriptions,
Okay.
and highlighting any unique features or benefits.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Okay.
You're essentially creating a business from scratch.
Yeah.
And seeing those sales roll in is a fantastic feeling.
Okay, so I've got my inventory sorted.
Yeah.
My product photos are looking good.
Okay.
I'm ready to list.
Uh.
Where do I actually sell this stuff?
The million-dollar question.
Right.
Our source highlights several popular platforms that are great for resellers.
Okay.
eBay is a classic option for a reason.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's a massive marketplace with a global reach.
Right.
And it's especially good for selling unique or vintage items.
So if I found like that rare collectible or that retro piece of tech, eBay might be my go-to.
Exactly. But if you're targeting a more local audience,
Okay.
Facebook Marketplace can be incredibly effective.
Okay.
It's free to list items, and you can connect with buyers in your community,
Right.
which can sometimes save you on shipping costs.
So for something like furniture or larger items,
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace might be the better choice
Exactly.
because I can potentially avoid the hassle of shipping.
Precisely. And don't forget about platforms like Mercari and Poshmark.
Okay.
which are particularly popular for clothing and accessories.
Okay.
These platforms offer a more curated shopping experience,
Mm.
and they often attract a younger, fashion-conscious audience.
So it's all about choosing the right platform
Yes.
for your specific products and target audience.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
here's another crucial point from the source.
Okay.
Diversification is key.
Oh,
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
okay.
List your items on multiple platforms to maximize your reach and increase your chances of making sales.
So instead of just relying on eBay,
Right.
I might also list on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
And maybe even try out Poshmark if I have some clothing items.
Exactly. By diversifying your sales channels,
Okay.
you're casting a wider net and reaching a broader audience of potential buyers.
Yeah.
It's like having multiple storefronts, each catering to a different type of shopper.
Okay, so I've listed my items.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting some views,
Okay.
but the sales aren't exactly pouring in.
Right.
What are some strategies for actually converting those views into actual purchases?
So our source really emphasizes the importance of pricing strategically.
Okay.
You want to be competitive with other sellers,
Yeah.
but you also don't want to undervalue your items.
Right.
Research what similar products are selling for.
Okay.
Factor in your costs.
Uh-huh.
And set prices that are both attractive to buyers
Yeah.
and profitable for you.
So I need to find that sweet spot.
Yes.
The price that's enticing to buyers,
Right.
but still allows me to make a decent profit.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment with different pricing strategies.
Like what?
You could try offering discounts for multiple purchases,
Okay.
bundling items together, or even holding flash sales
Okay.
to generate excitement and encourage impulse buys.
It's like the art of retail psychology.
Precisely.
I need to understand what motivates buyers
Yeah.
and use that to my advantage.
Exactly. And beyond pricing, communication is key.
Okay.
Respond to inquiries promptly,
Uh-huh.
answer questions thoroughly,
Okay.
and be transparent about the condition of your items.
Right.
Building trust with potential buyers is crucial for closing deals.
So it's not just about listing an item and
Wow.
hoping for the best.
Right.
It's about actively engaging with buyers,
Yeah.
answering their questions, and providing excellent customer service.
Exactly. And when you do make a sale,
Yeah.
packaging and shipping are equally important.
Okay.
You want to ensure that your items arrive
Oh.
safely and in a timely manner.
Uh-huh.
Package your items carefully,
Yeah.
use appropriate shipping materials,
Okay.
and provide tracking information to your buyers.
So it's about managing the entire process.
Yes.
From sourcing the pallet
Uh-huh.
to delivering the product to the customer's doorstep.
Exactly.
This whole ecosystem.
You got it. And that's what makes reselling such a rewarding, albeit challenging endeavor.
Right.
You're essentially building a business from the ground up.
Yeah.
And every step of the process is a learning opportunity.
It's like a crash course in entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
with the added bonus of potentially uncovering some amazing treasures along the way.
Exactly. And that's what makes this world so compelling.
Yeah.
It's a blend of savvy, shopping, strategic planning, creativity,
Uh-huh.
and a bit of luck.
Oh, yeah.
And for those who are willing to put in the effort, the rewards can be substantial, both financially and personally.
Okay. So before we get too carried away with the excitement of turning pallets into profits,
Yeah.
I think it's important to take a step back
Okay.
and address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
We've talked about the potential rewards,
Uh-huh.
but what about the risks?
Right.
What could potentially go wrong in this whole reselling game?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype
Yeah.
and overlook the potential downsides.
Okay. And our source does highlight some important risks to consider.
Okay.
What are the potential pitfalls
Right.
that I need to be aware of?
Well, one of the biggest risks is overspending on inventory.
Oh,
Just because a pallet seems like a good deal doesn't mean it'll actually translate into profit.
right.
You need to carefully evaluate the contents,
Okay.
factor in your costs,
Yeah.
and make sure you have a realistic plan for reselling the items.
So I need to be disciplined
Yes.
and not just buy every pallet that catches my eye. Exactly. It's about being strategic, not impulsive.
Okay.
And another potential pitfall is underestimating the time and effort
Oh, yeah.
involved in reselling.
Right.
It's not just about listing items online and waiting for the money to roll in.
Right.
You need to dedicate time to sorting, cleaning, photographing, listing, communicating with buyers, packaging, and shipping.
It's a lot.
It's a hands-on process that requires commitment
Yeah.
and attention to detail.
So this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
It's a real business that requires real work.
Precisely. And another risk to be aware of is competition.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The reselling market is becoming increasingly crowded.
Right.
So you need to find ways to differentiate yourself and stand out from the crowd.
Hmm.
This might involve specializing in a niche market,
Okay.
offering exceptional customer service,
Right.
or developing a unique brand identity.
So I need to find a way to make my products and my business
Yeah,
stand out from the sea of other resellers.
exactly. It's about creating a unique value proposition that attracts buyers
Okay.
and keeps them coming back.
Okay, so we've covered the potential rewards and risks,
Right.
but I'm curious about the ethical considerations.
Okay.
I mean, are there any concerns about buying and reselling liquidated merchandise?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And while our source doesn't specifically address ethical concerns,
Uh-huh.
it's definitely worth discussing.
Okay.
So some people might argue that reselling liquidated goods
Yeah.
perpetuates a culture of overconsumption and waste.
Okay.
After all these products were originally deemed surplus or unwanted for a reason.
So there's a potential argument that we're contributing to the problem
Right.
rather than solving it.
Yeah, that's one perspective.
Right.
But on the other hand, you could argue that reselling gives these products a second life,
Right.
prevents them from ending up in landfills,
Yeah.
and provides affordable goods to people who might not otherwise be able to afford them.
Right.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers. It sounds like it really depends on your personal values
Yeah.
and how you approach the reselling business.
Yeah, correct. There's no right or wrong answer,
Okay.
but it's definitely something to consider as you embark on your own liquidation journey.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Right.
let's just recap some of the key takeaways for aspiring resellers.
Absolutely. First and foremost, treat this like a real business.
Okay.
Do your research, develop a plan,
Uh-huh.
understand your market,
Right.
and be prepared to put in the work.
So don't just jump in blindly hoping to get lucky.
Exactly. And secondly, be strategic about your purchases.
Okay.
Don't overspend on inventory. Be discerning about the pallets you choose.
Uh-huh.
And focus on items that align with your niche and your target market.
So quality over quantity.
Precisely. And finally, don't underestimate the importance of presentation, customer service,
Yeah.
and building a strong reputation.
Right.
These are the things that will set you apart from the competition
Yeah.
and ultimately lead to long-term success.
It sounds like reselling liquidated merchandise is a multifaceted endeavor
Yeah.
that requires a blend of business acumen, creativity,
Uh-huh.
and a passion for uncovering hidden treasures.
You nailed it. It's a challenging but ultimately rewarding journey
Yeah.
that can lead to financial independence,
Mhm.
personal fulfillment, and even a sense of community with fellow resellers.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But there's still one crucial aspect of these liquidation blowouts that we haven't really explored yet.
Oh, you mean the eco-friendly angle?
Exactly.
The idea that we're not just finding great deals, but also giving these products a second life and keeping them out of landfills.
Yeah, it's like treasure hunting with a conscience.
I like that.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we explore the sustainability aspect of these liquidation blowouts, and we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and insights. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've talked a lot about, the strategies, even some of the risks of these liquidation blowouts, but there's one more thing I want to kind of explore here.
Okay.
It's something that's been on my mind this whole time.
Okay.
We're talking about giving all this merchandise a second life.
Yeah.
Instead of it, potentially ending up in a landfill somewhere.
Right.
There's got to be a feel-good aspect to that.
Absolutely there is. By buying and reselling these liquidated goods,
Yeah.
we're essentially participating in a form of circular economy.
Okay.
So we're keeping those products in circulation,
Right.
reducing waste,
Uh-huh.
and lessening the demand for new production,
Yeah.
which can have a really positive impact on the environment.
It makes you think about those pallets a little differently.
Yeah.
It's not just about
Yeah.
the thrill of the find or the potential for profit.
Right.
There's an element of responsibility too.
I completely agree. And this ties into a larger conversation about conscious consumerism.
Okay.
As shoppers, we have a lot of power to influence the way that goods are produced and consumed.
Yeah.
By choosing to buy secondhand or repurposed items,
Mm-hmm.
we're sending a message to retailers and manufacturers
Yeah, okay.
that we value sustainability and responsible practices.
So it's like voting with our wallets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about those big purchases
Right.
like cars or appliances.
Yeah.
Even small choices like opting for a refurbished phone
Okay.
or buying clothes from a consignment shop can have a cumulative impact.
It makes you realize that, like, we're all part of this, like, interconnected system.
Yeah,
Our choices as consumers have ripple effects throughout the whole supply chain.
precisely.
Yeah.
And when we choose to support businesses that prioritize sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
we're contributing to a more responsible and ethical marketplace.
You know, I'm feeling a renewed sense of purpose when I think about these liquidation blowouts now.
Yeah,
It's like a treasure hunt that benefits everyone involved.
I agree.
The retailers who need to clear out that inventory, the
Right.
buyers who are scoring those amazing deals,
Right.
and ultimately the planet itself.
It's a win-win-win scenario.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even in the pursuit of bargains, we can make choices that align with our values
Right.
and contribute to a more sustainable future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of liquidation blowouts,
Okay.
I think the most important thing is to approach this with an open mind,
Yeah.
a sense of adventure, and a willingness to learn and adapt.
Well said. The world of liquidation is constantly changing, and there's always something new to discover.
Right.
Embrace the unexpected, stay curious, and remember that every pallet is an opportunity to uncover hidden treasures,
Yeah.
create a profitable business, and
Mhm.
even make a positive impact on the environment.
So whether you're a seasoned reseller or a curious newbie,
Yeah.
go forth and explore this world of liquidation blowouts. Who knows what amazing discoveries await you happy hunting.